Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Annemarie. I feel a little bit weird filming this video. It's a little scary for me. I just feel like I'm entering this new chapter in my life and I'm just not sure if I'm ready. And that is finding a job. Like a full-time job for a career. I will be a senior this year at USC. I feel like I've said this in every single one of my videos. With that, I always get the questions on my channel of what do I want to do after I graduate, what career/industry do I want to be in, and where do I see myself in 5 years. So in this video, I kind of wanted to walk you guys through some of my advice and tips for landing internships, and then I also wanted to share with you guys what I will be doing in the coming semester in order to best prepare me for hopefully landing my dream job or a dream job. So this video is sponsored by LinkedIn, but as you guys know, I only work with companies whose products and services I actually use and love and stand behind. And I just feel so blessed to be working with LinkedIn on this video because first of all, it is truly the #1 resource that I go to when I'm in my internship search or for my career search. And then 2, just working with LinkedIn, they sent me some cool data from a study that they did that I think is really helpful in just acknowledging how powerful LinkedIn is. And they didn't ask me to include any of the things from this study, but I just truly think it shows how powerful LinkedIn can be. Basically, working with LinkedIn has just made this video a lot better. So I'm extremely excited to be working with them. And let's just get into the video. So my first internship after freshman year was actually in Shanghai, China. I worked at the Mercedes-Benz Arena as a sales and marketing intern. After my sophomore year, I worked at this entertainment company as a digital marketing intern. And then my recent internship experience was with Johnson & Johnson with Neutrogena, and I worked as a digital marketing and consumer marketing co-op, which basically just means that I worked there full-time for 6 months. And then of course, I've been doing YouTube for the past however many years. So that's pretty much my experience, and I just wanted to share that with you guys, kind of honestly to establish some credibility. You want to be taking advice from people that you see as credible. I'm not saying that my internships or my experience is amazing, but it is kind of just a way that I can establish myself as a credible source. And I also wanted to tell you guys my previous experiences because everyone wants to hear, the tips and tricks or just steps that successful people have taken so that, we could do the same thing and hopefully get to where they are too. But I just feel like everyone should do this video because that would be so helpful. The first thing in my internship search process or my career search process that I do is update my LinkedIn profile. I'm not saying this just because I'm working with LinkedIn on this video. This is something that is just flat out important. My business career center tells me this, my business professors tell me this, and also this is where that study comes in handy. So basically, LinkedIn sent me data from a study that they did in 2015 with 1,400 HR and career professionals, and they found from this study that 9 out of 10 recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates, and that 75% of hiring managers look at the person's LinkedIn profile before making a hiring decision. So I feel like that data just speaks for itself that this is a really important thing that you actually need to do if you are entering a career or industry that kind of requires this of you. And if you're trying to be competitive and you don't have a LinkedIn, you're kind of already just behind the curve. So I see my LinkedIn profile and honestly any social media profile that I have as a way that I'm able to communicate, in this case, with hiring managers or potential employers without actually having to physically and verbally communicate with them. If you think of it that way, just having an updated profile shows that you're proactive, you're organized, you're able to keep on top of your stuff, and that you're really there and prepared for the next steps. I'm very deliberate about what I'm putting. Every single thing that you put on your profile says something about you. So you want to ask yourself if what you're putting up is a good representation of you as a person or of your abilities to do work. So the first thing that you want to make sure to have updated on your profile is actually your picture. It's kind of your virtual handshake. This is a first impression because that's the first thing that you see digitally. So the picture that you choose as your profile photo should really align with what industry or career that you're wanting to go into. So this is my profile picture, and in this photo you can see that I'm smiling, my shoulders are back, and I'm also wearing business professional attire. I'm a business student, I might go into a professional career, hence the attire. And I also am trying to show with this photo that, maybe I'm friendly because I'm smiling, but I'm also put together and professional. So the next thing that is probably obviously very important is to put your current position in your profile. So if you're a college student and you don't have any internship experience yet, I would honestly put like anything, any type of job or volunteer experience that you have, whether it's working in a cafe or volunteering for an organization that you consistently volunteer for. By listing any of your experience, it just shows that you're able and willing to work. But I also don't really recommend just putting things to list it. It's like, oh, I'm a dog walker once a month. Then it's not really like showing your abilities. It just shows that you're doing like your neighbor a favor by walking their dog. Just make sure that it's actually valuable experience that you have learned something from. And if you don't have any experience, then it's not the end of the world at all. Just list your education because everyone has to start somewhere. Something that you can also do in the experience section that I think makes a huge difference is to add visuals of your work. So whether that be a picture of you at an event or of you speaking or a video that you created or that you're in or a presentation that you're allowed to share and that you're really proud of, providing these types of visuals really allows whoever is looking at your profile to kind of look at your job description that you've written out and then look at those visuals and kind of put together a whole story of you, where employers can maybe envision you in their company and just get a better picture of who you are as a person and what you might be like in their company. Someone just came to the door, so if my positioning or like background is a little bit off, that's why. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about that's important to keep updated on your profile is your location. If you have the city that you're based in, you'll stand out in the search 23 times more. And it's also a good way that former colleagues or coworkers can reach you. And that's kind of how I used this function actually when I was applying to my previous internship. I actually went on to LinkedIn to try to search if I had any connections or any mutual connections with anyone who had previously had the exact same position that I was applying for. I was able to find the person who had the exact same position at the exact same office, and the only way that I was able to find that was through the location because these positions are all over the nation, and I saw that we had mutual connections. So I reached out to one of our mutual connections and I asked them if they thought it would be okay if I reached out to him and if he would be receptive to me asking him some questions about the position. And they're like, this guy's super nice, he'd be happy to help you. And he was. Like, he not only told me like interview tips and what they would probably ask me, but he also told me like the next steps for if you continue with the company, like what your future would look like at that company. It might seem really awkward at first to reach out to someone that you don't know, but especially if it's an alumni or someone that you have a common connection with, chances are they will be happy to help you out. And there's really no harm in just reaching out. It seems really awkward at first, but if they're able to help you out, it can be so helpful. So after I've updated all of my LinkedIn information, it's on point. The first thing that, naturally you would do is you would start looking for positions available and that seem interesting to you. The first place that I go to is usually my school's job portal. I usually go here first just because I think the application process is a little streamlined, like you don't have to do as many steps. But I've also totally just thought up really cool companies that I would love to work for and then just went directly on their website to look if they have any job positions open. With the application process, just based on my personal experience, I have like 2 pieces of advice. First of all is sadly to expect rejection, and the second is to even expect to not hear back at all. Most of the positions that I applied for, I literally never heard back from them. It's really, really important to not get too attached to any one position or company. Even if you read the description and you think that you are the absolute perfect fit for that role, because you honestly just never know what companies are looking for, and even if you are the perfect fit, it just might not be what they're looking for at the moment. That leads just to the general advice of applying to a lot of positions. Like, really spread your eggs in a lot of baskets for that one, and just keep your expectations low for hearing back from companies. So a really important resource that is very often kind of just shoved down my throat as a business student is networking events and career fairs. I've been to both, but something that I feel like I have very unique insight on are career fairs because I went with my company as a person from the company, but also as someone who had some influence and say, essentially in putting resumes in one of 2 piles. One pile was if we liked the candidate, and the other pile was unfortunately just kind of a recycling pile for resumes. So basically the takeaways that I was able to get from being on the other side of the career fair are so valuable to me. First of all, it is so crucial to be a real person. A lot of the people that we talked to had their pitch down, but after their pitch, they were just kind of a robot, and they really didn't know how to anticipate or answer any of the questions that we had for them. And they weren't even questions like pressing them. They were really just about having a conversation. Because if you think about it, those career fair people are there for the whole day. They're looking for candidates who, you know, kind of stand out in some way. And if you're listening to hundreds of people give pitches all day, they're just kind of talking at you, and it's only at the moment where you're talking with someone that you're able to make a judgment on, you know, how they are as a person, how they interact with other people, how they might potentially interact in a team setting. So while it is important to have like your little elevator pitch, it is just as important, if not way more important, to be able to actually, you know, have that conversation and be a real person and not a robot-like person. This is also the same for the interview process. When you're going into an in-person interview, you know, at that stage, you're probably like one of a few who they have chosen as the best of the best. They're really narrowing down their options. And at that point, sometimes all it comes down to is how you are able to interact with other human beings. They're choosing a teammate that they want to work with for the rest of their, like, however long you or that person is gonna be there. So they wanna pick someone who they think that they'll get along with and like be beneficial to not only the company, but the culture and the people. Another thing that I noticed is that, you know, I went with a pretty big company, and if you know that a company is going to be there and you know that you want to talk to the people representing that company, then definitely do some basic background research. We talked to a lot of people who clearly wanted to talk to us as a company from the name, but had no idea what the company did at all. And while I like didn't really count that against anyone because no one knows what all companies do, if you're wanting to actually show that you want to work there, then you should definitely have some basic knowledge about the company and what they do. So definitely be sure to do your research beforehand on who's gonna be there, who you wanna talk to, and just like brush up your knowledge on those companies. If you make it to the stage where you're able to interview with the company, I have just a few pieces of advice. First of all, what I do beforehand is I kind of look up typical industry questions for that type of position. So you can do this by literally like Googling the company and the position, Googling the industry, like commonly asked questions for like marketing interviews or whatever. I went through those questions and I made sure that I knew how to answer every single one of those questions, or at least had an idea of where I would want to go generally with those questions. Just by this Google search for my interview process, I was able to pretty much have already prepared my answers for 3 out of the 4 questions that they asked me. And then the last thing that I would definitely recommend before interviewing is to exercise. When I was interviewing for my last position, I had exercised the morning of any time that I had an interview with them. And immediately after like maybe 30 minutes of cardio, like high intensity cardio, I was much less jittery. And also in my actual interview, I truly felt more mental clarity. I really do think that exercising made a huge difference in how I was able to respond. So those are all of the steps and advice that I did and that I will be taking very, very soon in order to hopefully land my dream job. Fingers crossed. I really look forward to making vlogs and videos updating you guys about my job search process. I think that'll be really interesting and very crazy. So definitely subscribe to this channel and my vlog channel if you guys want to see any of those types of videos this coming semester. And be sure to give this video a thumb up if you thought it was helpful. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!